Hey, what's going on, guys? What's going on? I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and today we're going to talk about Dave Chappelle. It turns out that Dave Chappelle has pissed off a lot of people. He is actually causing a boycott of SNL. Some of the writers have threatened to boycott because they are so pissed off that Dave Chappelle is hosting the show. And I'm going to bring in some guests in a couple of minutes after I get finished doing some early stuff in the conversation. So we're going to have a guest on at 10 p.m. Eastern as well. So get comfortable, buckle up your seatbelt. We're going to get started on drboycetv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones too late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I want to say hello to everybody on this wonderful Saturday night. If you're watching this live, you know that it is Saturday night, and we are up because we're always on our job. How many of you, give me a yes or no in the chat. Give me a yes or no as you put your city in the chat, because I see you, Paris from Denver. Let me know, how many of you heard about Dave Chappelle supposedly hosting SNL soon? And heard that because they don't like Chappelle, some of the writers have actually threatened to boycott, largely because of comments that Chappelle made during his Netflix special. Give me a yes or no if you heard about that. Also, as you shout your cities out, I'll shout them back. I see Aisha from DC and KD from Dallas. My name is Corey from Baltimore. F off from Durham, North Carolina. Okay, Katie Michelle says yes. Hey, Layla, how are you? Hey, Denise Love, how are you? Out of Charlotte, and I see New Jersey. Good to see you. Okay, well, just so you guys know, the last All Black National Convention was hosted in Charlotte, and we're going to host the next one in Atlanta. We haven't picked a specific spot in Atlanta, but we will be hosting it in Atlanta. That's where we actually started the first convention. So if you actually want to get early bird tickets for half off for next year, we are actually going to sell out. We are selling out very quickly. So if you'd like to get your convention tickets now before they disappear, go to allblacknationalconvention.com. If you buy them a year in advance, you get a discount. Once we're done selling them, we are done. We are capping it off. We only want 500 people. I do not want thousands of people coming to the All Black National Convention. Last year, this past year, you saw the footage and the video. You saw it was completely packed. But also next year, we're going to have more people that want to come. But we decided as a team that we don't want to have a gigantic, massive convention. We want to maintain that family atmosphere. So feel free to go to allblacknationalconvention.com. So before I bring in my guest, Zakia Sekar Jabbar, I wanted to talk to you guys about this thing with Dave Chappelle and just give you my 2 cents on it. I don't want to overtalk my guests, so I want to make sure I get this out real quick. First of all, let me ask y'all this. How many of y'all think that this boycott, this SNL boycott of Dave Chappelle by certain writers apparently is a bunch of BS? How many of y'all, give me a yes or no if you think it's a bunch of BS? I'm in that category. I'm not going to lie. I think it's kind of silly. I don't quite understand it, but I do. I can see some dynamics happening here. So give me a yes or no if you think it's a bunch of BS. Second question I want to ask you all is, have y'all noticed that it seems like it's hunting season for Black men lately? Like particularly Black men, say over the age of 40, who are not gay, who are just, exercising their freedom of speech. Anybody notice that? First you had the whole thing with Kanye. Then you had the whole thing with Kyrie, which was linked to Kanye. Then you had the elections where everybody wants to blame Black men for the fact that the Democrats aren't winning as many elections as they used to. And now you have Dave Chappelle, another straight Black male over the age of 40. I think he's over 50 now. And it's kind of like this interesting little theme. And I'm really linked into it because I'm in that same demographic as these guys. I know some of these guys. I never met Chappelle, but I know Willie D really well. Willie's good friends with Dave. And I know Kanye reasonably well, and he's good friends with Dave. So it's kind of like a circle, right, in terms of Black men who just think for themselves and kind of think in a different way. And what's interesting is I've noticed the community has been getting behind these guys and putting pressure on others in the community who are on TV. You know, these Negroes, black faces in high places, allegedly high places. Maybe they're not necessarily physically high, but they might be high because they might have been smoking something before they started talking. Some of these ESPN Negroes been smoking, so they definitely black faces in high places. And the backlash has been swift. I want to congratulate you. And before I bring in Zakiya, I want to congratulate all the black people. In fact, give ourselves a digital round of applause. I like seriously, I want to congratulate all of y'all for putting the heat on the buffoons. I mean, I'm serious. I want to congratulate all of us. All of us. I throw myself in that category because y'all been laying the fire on them. Y'all been like, has anybody noticed that? Don't get me wrong. You know, they they try to put the pressure on the black man, make him apologize and all that. And then you get Negroes jumping on, you know, like the slave plantation days. We're going to whoop them, boss. We're going to get them, boss. Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley, all these other guys. Even Jalen Rose did some weird stuff. And then next thing you know, they're coming back. Some of these black people are coming back and either shifting their positions dramatically or they're apologizing to you. They're apologizing. You know why they're apologizing to you? Number one, because the new black media can't be stopped. Like we are, if I have a few 100,000 of you following me, and I know y'all are righteous and real. Tariq Nasheed has a few 100,000 people following him. He knows that those folks are righteous and real. Some of y'all follow both of us. You've got other platforms out here, whether it's Jason Black, Vicky, whoever it is, right? And the community is speaking, and y'all are speaking from a position of power and authenticity. You got to understand this. See, this is the power of blackness that nobody talks about. Y'all are the trendsetters for the earth. You are. People follow you. People copy you. So when you take away that black card, it hurts. You know, Jalen Rose probably came out. I imagine he came out because he went to the family barbecue and they were looking at him cross-eyed like, Negro, what's wrong with you? Like, you embarrassing the family out here acting like a damn fool. Shaquille O'Neal, Barkley, Stephen A. Smith even came out and supported Kyrie Irving. And I doubt that would have happened without pressure from the community. So I'm going to congratulate you. I just want to congratulate you for speaking up, being strong, going hard on social media. One of y'all is 10 of them. One of y'all is 10 of them. I promise you that. So I want you to keep on going. So let me bring in Zakiya. Zakiya is the host of the show, Real Talk with ZSJ. How you doing, Zakiya? How are you today?
Hey, good evening, Dr. Boyce. I am good. How about yourself?
I'm doing really good, really good. So good to see you. And y'all saw Zakiya Sankar Jabbar. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you got me.
Okay. I don't know why. I'm so embarrassed that it's taken me like 5 years to say your name right, and I'm so sorry. It's not really even meant to be disrespectful.
No, I know. Of course I know that. No, it's phonetically, if you think about like phonics and how you sound out words, yeah, it's actually pretty phonetically easy, you know.
Yeah, I know. It should be easy, right? I think I have a mental block or something. It's almost like when I learned like division, I just couldn't get it. I don't know why in school. It's just weird. But anyway, so Zakiya Sankar Jabbar, she's the host of Real Talk with ZSJ. And so I had to get some of that out of my system. So now I wanted to bring you in, and you're the boss of the show now. So Zakiya, you saw this thing with Dave Chappelle and the boycott, correct?
Yeah, I saw a little bit about it. Yeah, came out a couple days ago. In fact, yeah.
Okay, so what are your thoughts? What's going on here?
Control. I mean, you know, there seems to be this incessant desire to completely subjugate and control Black folks in general, but Black men in particular, particularly Black men, higher profile Black men. You know, there's this idea that, you know, they should be controlled. They should not have their own minds. They should not, you know, speak out on whatever the issue is. One of the things that I like, particularly about Dave Chappelle, is that he, you know, is just pushing back on politicizing, you know, the comedy world. You know, I think back a lot, and I'm like, ooh, I was like Richard Pryor would have never made it in this time and age. You know what I mean? Thinking about, you know, Baba Dick Gregory, who was obviously amazing and, you know, way more than just a comedian, but it's really been very, very disheartening to see. But I'm also very glad too, like you pointed out, is that the masses of our people, right? They're not on board with everything that's happening, you know, publicly. I saw a great clip from Dr. Julia Hare earlier. Shout out to Dr. Nathan and Julia Hare. Mama Julia passed a few years ago, but they were, you know, this Black academic power couple that have written several books. And I remember she was a part of, I don't know if you remember, boys, but Tavis Smiley used to host these State of the Black America series annually for several years. And I remember her pointing out there is a big difference between Black leaders and leading Blacks. Black leaders, she described, right, as the leaders that the community picks. Like, you know, the community chooses Dr. Boyce, you know, clearly is evidenced in the All Black National Convention, which again, hats off to you. This was my first year, and grateful you invited me to be a speaker. Hopefully I can come back next year in Atlanta. I'd be glad to. But she talked about, but then let's talk about the leading Blacks. The leading Blacks are the ones you just named, who the media endorses as, okay, we're going to bring you to the front to speak on behalf of the Black community. Who does that? Like, what type of people think they have so much control that they're going to pick our leaders and pick our enemies? It's ridiculous.
Well, you know, I think that's a big deal. And I think that does say a lot, right? When you're talking about this idea, this belief, this false belief that there are other people who feel they can pick Black leaders. And
right.
I think there have been people that have always been hip to the game. But
right.
It really wasn't until the emergence of things like social media that people were able to kind of combat the game. And and the, you know, the social media has led to revolutions within the African American community, just like it has all around the world. The Arab Spring and all that stuff. And you know, because you know, good ideas and free ideas can always defeat bogus ideas. You know, it's pound for pound, straight up in a straight up fight. You know, so the way they were able to win the fight in a biased fashion was they simply said, okay, we're going to be the only ones talking. We're going to be the only ones that people get to hear, and we're going to mute all the voices that disagree with us. And that's why I've told everybody in here that's watching, you got to scream at the top of your lungs. You know, take the time. Share this video, everybody. Please do that. Like, make that comment on your social media. You know, hit that like button. Follow the things you believe in, because every time you do that,
support independent Black voices like yours, right? And support Real Talk with ZSJ on YouTube. There's so many others, as people have reframed it as the new Black media. So we don't even have to depend on mainstream media anymore. We shouldn't, and we actually never should have.
Right. Well, you know, and that's the thing. I think mainstream media it's funny. I wasn't as offended by mainstream media back when they at least tried to pretend to be objective. You know, they were probably never really truly objective, but my Lord, I mean, when I'm reading articles on CNN that sound like every article sounds like an opinion piece, I never thought I'd see that. I always thought CNN was one of those places that would give you the facts. And then it seemed like around 2015 or so, they just kind of said, okay, in order for us to get ratings, because it's always about the money, right? In order to get ratings, we got to go all the way to the left or whatever, like MSNBC. And it just, media just got so messy, you know, and now, you know, I'll tell you though, it's
not even real journalism anymore.
No,
it really isn't.
It's not. Even when you look at, I was watching Gayle King on CBS. And I can't look at Gayle King with a straight face because she's not a real journalist. She got the job because she's buddies with Oprah. She shows her bias left and right, like when she did that whole Kobe Bryant thing. Anybody remember that? When Kobe had just died, like his body
literally his body was cold.
Yeah, and she's like, well, you know, he raped somebody. You know, just like, what? Really?
And the black community went in on her. Yeah, they did.
Yep. And that's another time where the new Black media went after the buffoons. You know, I almost feel like it's a new day. I'm actually kind of excited about that. What do you think?
Me too. No, I'm excited about the fact that, you know, people's consciousness continues to rise and people are pushing back on fear. You know, we have been through I believe one of the greatest, you know, psychological operations in recent history the last several years, in terms of the government like really being forceful and unconstitutional with all these, you know, closing of businesses and forced lockdown, you know, all these different things, you know, that have impacted all of us, you know, globally. And so I think that the masses, and this has always been true historically, the underclass, the people, you know, that need to be controlled have always been the source for great change, for revolution. And so the only thing I can hope is that this continues, people continue to raise their voice and push back, And let's not leave our people who are courageous. Let's make sure we don't leave them out there alone. Let's make sure that we are doing what we need to do, to support. But I want to go back on one of the points that you made about the media. I read a book several years ago by Noam Chomsky. He's out at MIT.
Yes.
And he co-authored it. Yeah, he co-authored it with another person. I'm losing that person's name right now, but I would encourage everybody to check out that book. It's called The Manufacturing of Consent. That's the role of the media in this country. I believe there may be a YouTube documentary of the same title that talks about certain things in the book, but I encourage people to actually read the book. The news is actually created, according to this is literally a tool of propaganda to control and manipulate and deceive the masses. Now, this is in a book by a very reputable scholar, right? So it's not a conspiracy theory. That's the other thing. Like, I'm noticing now with the level of consciousness that's raising throughout the world, it seems like the attack is, they're all conspiracy theories, right? We saw that a lot the last several years. Just people questioning, just people like, this doesn't feel right in my intuition. Like, just pushing back on a lot of the draconian measures that I think we're going to see and continues to see. But yeah, the manufacture of consent has been out a very long time, and people should actually read it. And I believe there's still a YouTube video of that's like a documentary, but that book shared it all. I mean, that's Dr. Noam Chomsky.
Yeah, that's Noam Chomsky. He's at MIT now, right?
He's at MIT. He's been at MIT from my point of view, from my knowledge, I believe his entire career.
Yeah, he's a smart guy. I like his work a lot.
Absolutely. So, I like to just point people into the direction of things that I've read, things that informs the way that I think and believe, because the information is actually hiding in plain sight. You just have to know where to go get it.
I agree with you. Well, everybody, I'm here with Zakiya Sankar-Jabbar, host of Real Talk with ZSJ, and we're talking about Dave Chappelle and Dave Chappelle going on to SNL and how that's led to a boycott by a few writers, not the majority. The majority of the writers, it looks like, are sticking around. Also, also the majority of the actors, actually all the actors are still going to participate. So maybe this might be a manufacturing on the news. But everybody, do me a favor real quick. Hit that thumbs up button. Thumbs up, everybody, right now. Do this for me and type B1 in the chat after you finish this, because we talked about supported media. I don't need anything else other than just a couple clicks on the keyboard. 1, hit the thumbs up button. 2, make sure you subscribe. 3, hit the notification bell. The notification bell is really important, because if you don't hit the notification bell, they will make sure that you are not notified when we go live on the platform. Intelligent Black people matter. We are building that voice for you as intelligent Black people. So please do that. And also, if you could, even if you want to go further, share this link on your social media. We could really use that help. And I really want to ask you to consciously do that. So thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate it. So let me ask you about this, Zakiya. You were talking about the news being manufactured. And so when I was reading this article on The Hill about these writers boycotting Dave Chappelle, I didn't see like a long list of writers. What they actually said in the article is that they say, quote, the room was full of writers. They all pitched ideas and they seemed very excited about it. Dave was looking to have some fun, his rep said. So this is from Dave's rep now, mind you. So and also Chappelle was at 30 Rock on Tuesday, meeting with writers and producers and representatives. His representative told Page 6 there was no evidence of a boycott. None of the actors boycotted. So do you think that this is just kind of the media sort of trying to roll this up and act like there's this massive outrage? What do you think?
Clearly, I think that they create narratives. And the other piece is like the headline is also meant to manipulate and draw you in and just get people all caught up, emotionally and things like that. But I think Dave Chappelle clearly has been an issue for them when he walked away from the $50 million after he figured out how horrific those contracts are. So in terms of like Yee and other folks, like people have been talking about this for years, man. Like, I don't know if folks remember, but Dame Dash and that whole situation. I mean, I feel like a lot of people are really waking up and seeing like, wow, even these rich Black people are subservient. Like they literally are a mental, slave. They're not even in control, literally, of their own likeness. I remember Dave Chappelle talking about that, right? So I think that we have to continue to support these strong voices within our community and make sure that they know that they have community support. Just like, I saw somebody mention Minister Louis Farrakhan, that brother, that elder, loving to death. And he has just sacrificed so much, personally on behalf of our people, because he loves us so much. And hats off to the Black men who remain consistent, the Black men who do not allow money, right, to dictate their manhood. Let's just be real. You cannot allow that to happen. So,
well, money is a trap, right? Money
absolutely.
money can liberate you, but it can also make you a bigger slave, and and it can also make you a financial addict. These are all the little fun terms that I come up with after thinking about money for so long. And the thing about it is, you can really think about money. Money is a type of power. It's a lot like a drug. So a drug can heal you if you're sick, if it's the right drug, but it can also make you addicted. And so ultimately, when you look around and you see people, you see guys like a LeBron James, for example, he's a billionaire now. And you're like, okay, well, you're a billionaire. So you're kind of at a point where you could tell everybody to kiss your black ass if you want to, but you're not.
Is he a billionaire though? I feel like Minister Farrakhan pointed out a good point. Like, is he? Because if it's just on paper and how Minister Farrakhan decided like the leash that they had, like, how does Kanye West go from a billionaire to a net worth of $400 million in 2 days?
I have special insight. I have special insight in that because I've spent a lot of hours on the phone with Kanye.
Yeah,
I've talked to a couple of his people, and I'm not going to divulge too much, but because what I divulge here is it's not even something that's not available to that's already available to the public. So I'm not violating his trust on this. But let me tell you what happens is when Forbes declares somebody a millionaire, in many cases, you have two types of millionaires, or billionaires. You have the cash money billionaires, where they literally have $1 billion in liquid assets, and it's their money, and they take it. And then you have what is called the present value of future cash flows. That's where they take the money that you're making every year, and they just extrapolate. They make a projection based on what you're making right now and what that looks like. And they use financial models, and basically they just pour all the numbers in, and then it comes out and says, okay, this person's worth over $1 billion. And so with Ye, that's how his billionaire status came from. I mean, the brother was making real money from Adidas.
Oh yeah.
He sold $1.7 billion worth of shoes, which is an astronomical amount of money. Adidas was with Beyonce was with Adidas. Her shoe sales didn't come near Kanye. I think they were confused. Yeah, they were like, how the hell is he, quadrupling Beyonce? So he sold 1.7 billion in shoes. He made 23 times more money than the CEO of Adidas. So I think for Ye, it seemed like it's like, wait a minute, this dude's telling me what to do, but he clearly doesn't have my vision, because this company was a failing company before Ye came along. So Adidas didn't even want to end the relationship with him. I think that the Jewish power forced them to do that. I think that the pressure made them do it. But believe me, I think Ye's gonna figure out how to make his money, and I wish him the best on that. But the thing was, when
he's still worth $400 million. He's straight. I mean, like, he is not about to be homeless.
Right. Well, yeah, I can't see that, but it's like, believe me, it can happen. There's a billionaire in crypto named Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah, that
was worth $16 billion last week. He was $16 billion last week. Now he's negative 700 million, and maybe might even go to jail. so it can happen. I don't think they obliterated Ye. But I do think that there was a lot of wealth lost, and what I really wish was there was a way that some of that wealth could have gone into the community in a more direct way. Building schools. I mean, think about, imagine if people like you and I had access to, a couple $100 million a year. We could literally transform the whole community. We could educate 100,000 Black kids a year. And that's one of the things that I think concerns me about the structure of America. Is that, and I'd like your thoughts on this. When you have the entertainers on top and the intellectuals on the bottom, it really creates a distorted, deformed community.
That's what they do for our community, not their own. Think
right,
about that.
right.
Yeah.
They do that, and so to your point though, the question is, when are we going to start doing something different? Like, when are we going to start sort of shifting our mindset and saying, no, that's just not cool? Like, I saw D.L. Hughley and Charlemagne analyzing politics, and of course they went into this whole Democrat Republican stuff because they're wired in, right? And I said, why in the hell is a comedian doing?
Well, D.L. Hughley, let's keep it real, because he runs a platform online. I believe, like Roland and some of the others, actually receive checks from the Democratic Party to promote them. So we got to kind of think about that too, because a lot of times in these political races, they spend tons on media. You know what I mean? And I do know that a lot of the black shock jocks, even Tom Joyner back in the day, I remember, when it was election time, the checks started rolling in to promote, so that's the other piece.
Well, you are right. When you talk about the fact that, you think about it, when all that money goes to these politicians, they spend money on advertising, right? And then there's other ways you can get money to people. And I'd be really curious to know, what kind of checks are being written behind the scenes, because sometimes it gets to the point of being illogical. It's like, okay, you're not really representing the interests of black people. You're carrying water for a political party and using your influence in the black community to get votes for these politicians who are compensating you on some level. So that's I almost feel like that's a type of corruption. What do you think?
Of course, they're being like, their voice is not their voice. They're being paid to parrot certain narratives. That is how you manipulate and control a country. How else can you control the masses of the people in that way? You use, because there's research that backs this up. I feel like we talked about this in person on the panel. Remember when we were talking about how, these people have been studying and researching in terms of psychological behavior, how best to get a certain response. How do you quail, revolutions? How do you quail uprisings in the community? Because they clearly have hundreds of years of evidence, to study from as well, in terms of what the limit is for humans before there is an organized, sort of response to the level of oppression that is being inflicted. And so I think that what's different now, clearly, is now social media is added to this pot, because it's been around now, I guess the last 10 years or more. So yeah, social media clearly is also a part and parcel of being a tool of manipulation, which we saw with Cambridge Analytica. If folks, check that out, on Netflix. Like, again, a lot of this stuff is right in your face. They're not technically necessarily really hiding anything. It's there. You just have to be a critical thinker. And that's the other piece, is that the media has also pushed groupthink. You know what I mean? So now they assign, I remember, especially the last couple of years around this, pandemic and everything, there was, an assignment of virtue, right? Like this virtue signaling, you know what I mean? Like all of that is deception and manipulation and dividing people, the whole divide and conquer piece that we talk about incessantly. But for some reason, as a people, we have not really put a lot of effort, I would say in recent years, especially, into forming operational unity, understanding that as a Black community, we're not all the same. We don't all think alike, but our ultimate goal should be our liberation for our group of people. And in that way, we should be working together to reach that goal. That's how I feel about it.
All right. Well, everybody, my name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. You're watching drboycetv.com. I am here with Zakiya Senghar-Jabbar, the host of Real Talk with ZSJ, and we're talking about Dave Chappelle and everything going on with Dave Chappelle and the boycott of the SNL writers. And I want to remind everybody that we believe that economics is a very important part of your liberation individually and collectively.
That's
And
right.
so, if you want to learn about wealth or have your kids learn about wealth, we actually have some financial flashcards designed for Black children. So you can actually use the flashcards to make sure your kids understand the fundamentals of investing, real estate, stuff like that. Teach
That's
them
nice.
these things early. You must teach them these things early so that when they get older, they won't end up in tough situations. You'll prepare them for
That's
the
right.
future. So feel free to go to financialflashcards.com. The URL is right there on the screen if you'd like to take a look. Financialflashcards.com. Okay, so Zakia, let me ask you this. So let's see. So Chappelle is going to host SNL, and there are a couple writers that are boycotting. The headline is writers are boycotting because they're so upset about his transphobia, stuff like that. Why do you think that Chappelle was selected to host the show? I think, again, going back to money, I really think that they kind of feel like, well, this is great because he's talented, he's famous, and he's going to draw a lot of attention to our show. I almost feel like
That's exactly why. That's all
yeah,
I was
I
going
feel
to
like
answer
the
your question.
controversy is actually helping him in this situation and helping the network. What do you think?
Clearly, I mean, as they say, news is, some basically having the spotlight on you is better than not having the
Oh yeah,
spotlight on you.
all publicity is good publicity.
There you go. That's what I was looking for, and so clearly, I'm thinking about the brother out of Detroit that created this documentary. That brother that made probably millions in the last couple of weeks.
Oh,
Seriously,
Hebrews to Negroes, yes.
you know what I mean? And think about it. When I looked, the movie came out in 2018.
No.
Yeah, like it is not recent.
Ha!
And so I'm just like, what is really going on here? And clearly these people who are targeting Kyrie knew that this was going to create a media cycle and that it was going to make people think, oh wow, let me go see then. This is so horrible. So all these people, so I'm just trying to figure out what's the strategy here. I do think that unfortunately, I think that this may be a strategy to impose some more draconian, right, type of new laws. I don't know. Control more, basically using this to try to legally control speech. I'm really concerned about that. I mean, clearly, that's literally the First Amendment, like literally in the U.S. Constitution. And these people are looking for ways to basically tear up the U.S. Constitution. I've just never seen the level of censorship that we have now in this present day, which I know you've experienced as well, Dr. Boyce. I've never seen anything like that in the 90s. Think about the controversial figures were oftentimes brought on, especially Phil Donahue. You can go back and see Sister Soldier. You can go back and see Huey P. Newton on there, Dr. Shahardad Ali. It was like, we encouraged the debate of different ideas, right? Different discourses. Now it's like, no, we want one discourse and we want uniformity. And if you go outside of these lines, then you will be canceled. That's exactly what we're dealing with.
It's kind of interesting, right? Because I used to grow up believing that it was the liberals who fought for freedom of speech. That they were the ones.
No, liberals are full out fascists right now.
Right. But I mean, I would say 20 years ago, the
Me
perception,
too.
at least the perception I always had, was that if you wanted freedom, the liberals would be the ones who provided those freedoms of speech and expression. And then, I not just today, somebody called, a relative called, and I overheard her talking on the phone to my wife, and she's a big Democrat, and she said something like, the Democrats are controlling the Senate. Democracy has been saved. And I'm not saying that, I'm not
We
talking
don't
about
live in a
liberal
democracy.
conservative.
That's number one.
But the thing is, though, I think that there are some who perceive perceive censorship as democracy, right? That we're protecting freedom by basically forcing people to be quiet if they say something we don't want to hear, and that almost seems like a contradiction. I don't know what you think.
It's the ultimate level of control. What we're moving into, really, we're here, is techno-fascism. It's a techno neo-slavery, is and it's gonna get worse. Dr. Boyce, I don't know if you remember, but I was hosting shows last year about some of these things and transhumanism and like all of these different things. Like even with FTX, if you think about it, you know, a lot of people kind of warned that it was a Ponzi scheme from jump. A lot of these people in these crypto spaces are really taking advantage of people because there's no current laws on the books that really, you know, regulate it. And so you also don't even see any energy out of the Congress, which has been controlled by the wonderful Democrats. You don't see them coming out with any type of laws to protect free speech on these media platforms. In fact, and ironically, it's been the people on the right who have been trying to preserve, you know, speech and things like that, because of course, you know, they have been targeted and deplatformed and things like that. But people haven't been paying attention to the fact that literally the same things are also happening to Black people, Black thought leaders, Black, you know, people in the intelligentsia who are trying to get this information out on these platforms. So I think that, you know, people have to be very careful with all the things, again, like, you know, that family member said, and no disrespect, but parroting basically what they heard on the news. You know, democracy, that's literally what you keep hearing on the news and what you heard on the news over and over again, all the way up into the election. And so,
well, I tell you, it's the craziest thing in the world, Zakia. And I don't know which direction it's going. I want to ask everybody a question, and I'm talking to Zakia Sankar Jabbar, host of Real Talk with ZSJ. We're talking about Dave Chappelle and SNL, their alleged boycott and stuff like that. If everybody could take a second, hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Please do that. Also, because there are people who don't necessarily like free speech, I'm always thinking about ways to protect ourselves. I talked to you guys about self-defense, economic self-defense, etc. So one way that we practice self-defense here is we have a text number that you can text so that in case they ever come after me, I can still reach out to y'all. So take a second, write that down. Text the word Boyce to 31996. Text Boyce to 31996. So I'll reach out to you all periodically when we go live and stuff like that. That way, if they don't send out the notifications, we have a backup plan and a plan B. And also we can remain connected in the Black Business School and stuff like that, where we do Powernomics every Wednesday. We do that free of charge. So feel free to join us for Powernomics Wednesdays. I'll tell you more about that later. Okay, so Zakia, let me so let me ask you this final question then. So going forward, you know, here's the thing. So I'm gonna ask everybody a question first off, then I'm asking Zakia a question. How many of y'all have ever been in Facebook jail? How many Facebook felons we got up in here? Is anybody at Facebook? I'm proud of it. You know, I'm like probably a 14-time felon. I've been in Facebook jail so long that I know how to make a grilled cheese sandwich on the radiator, and I could stab you with a spoon. You know, like I was always in Facebook jail. And a lot of people don't know this, but I actually had a Facebook page that we built up. It has 600,000 people on it. And this is back in the day when a Facebook page really meant something. Now it don't really halfway mean nothing because they don't even give you any traction, you know, in terms of reach. But back then, you got it. And in fact, the page was so powerful that the rapper Young M.A. got discovered on that page. A lot of people don't know that. But I posted Young M.A. Nobody knew who she was. I saw her rapping. I said, wow, she's talented, but the music is very toxic. Because I didn't like, it breaks my heart when I see young people rapping about murder and death and all the other things that are getting other rappers killed. I wish that talent could be applied in another direction, but I loved it. I thought it was good. I like good music. I just said I don't want to rap about Black people dying. Right? So I just kind of mentioned something about it, and the video went super viral because she, he, sir, him, whatever her pronouns are. It's very because I heard she's pregnant, which is just kind of blowing my mind.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. I missed it.
I don't know. Yeah, there's like videos of there's pictures of Young M.A. pregnant, like standing there looking like a dude smoking a cigarette, or not a cigarette, but you know, because you ain't supposed to smoke when you're pregnant. But literally with a big stunt. I don't know if that's real or not. I have no idea. I'm not here to judge. I wish Young M.A. the best. But anyway, on this page, I think I quoted Malcolm X. I put up a Malcolm X quote. Next thing you know, the page just went silent. Like it got zero reach. I was posting stuff and nobody was seeing it. And then, and then they said your page has been I think they said suspended, but they didn't actually delete it. So it was suspended for 2 years, and then eventually they erased it. And that really was a hit to our business because that was a page where we really we were hiring people and getting things done, on the platform.
Which page was that again? Because I think I followed. I'm sure I followed it. Which page
It
was it?
it was called Boyce. It was this Boyce Watkins page. I think Sandra Bland, used to come in there and comment a lot. R.I.P. to Sandra Bland, and it was just a lot, a lot of fun. So it's almost like with Facebook jail and the way social media was. I almost have to admit though, I almost wonder if things are getting a little bit better. Like now you can talk about the pandemic and without worrying about getting banned for saying things that eventually turned out to be true.
Right, the conspiracy theories are up right now.
yeah. I almost feel like things might be lightening up just a little bit. What do you think?
I think it's interesting. I don't know if you saw, but Facebook laid off 11,000 people. So maybe they just don't have the staff that they had hired up to super monitor and things. So I don't know. But I have noticed that I haven't been in Facebook jail recently, but I also have just been so turned off by Facebook that I don't interact on there nearly as much as I have in the past. I'm on there, but in the past I was, because I've had posts to go viral and things like that, and I've been maxed out on my personal friends thing for a couple of years now. So, I like I said, I don't spend as much time as I used to on there because, of course, there's other platforms, and also because I actually have a life outside of social media. So
no, that's good, right? So what do you think about Elon Musk owning Twitter? Like, do you think that that's a good or bad development? It seems like it's kind of a circus right now.
Yeah, it does seem like a circus. I don't share the same views as probably a lot of people, about Elon Musk. I'm really kind of agnostic towards him. I mean, of course, he is what they call an Afrikaner or whatever. He's from South Africa. His father and family, of course, was very much involved in apartheid. And so, that's his lineage or heritage. So, I mean, whether it's good or bad, I see liberals have, of course, been making a big deal about it and announcing that they're leaving the platform and all of these different things. And I'm just like, I don't know. To me, it's like, it's funny because I'm like, okay, why do people embrace this or that in this group think so much? Like, what does it do for them personally? You know what I mean? Like, is it really that serious?
Well, it is. I wish we didn't have as much tribalism, and I'm encouraging intelligent Black people to try to minimize that as much as possible. I mean, it's okay for you to have it's okay to have adversaries or to distance yourself from people, but don't distance yourself from everybody because then you end up alone and all by yourself.
You end up alone, corner.
Yeah. So I kind of have people where I really don't want to be in that space, but then I have some people where it's like, I can look past some differences that we might have. Like, I don't really care if you're gay or straight, as long as you be one. I don't care if if you're whether you're a feminist or not. That's fine. Whatever. Whatever you believe, Democrat, Republican. I'm not gonna let that divide me from another Black person.
Me either.
Right. So I think that maybe the rule is, at least the rule I apply is, I kind of pick the one or two things that really matter to me. And I like being Black. That matters to me. So if you're anti-Black, I have a hard time hanging out with you. And then also, I like the idea of wanting to be smarter. You don't have to be super intelligent, highly educated, and all that stuff. It ain't got nothing to do with education. There's a lot of educated fools out here. It's really like, do you just want our community to be smarter? Like, do you want our kids to be healthier? Do you want our families to stay together or continue to break up? Do you want us healthy, or do you want us high on drugs and drinking and killing each other and and all that? I don't
that part.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things out here, Zakia, that are killing Black people. I mean, the food we eat, all that fast food they promote to us, got damn diabetes, dialysis clinics filled up.
Obesity is a huge contributor to obesity. You know what I mean? When you think about it, it's not just the fact that people are eating certain foods, because let's be real. I grew up in the rural South and ate soul food just about every day, but it was actually real food back then. It did not, the chickens weren't pumped up with all these different hormones to make them grow bigger and faster. When we consume those hormones, it also makes us grow bigger. You know what I mean? So people have to think about, food science. But the other thing that wanted to see if wanted to ask you, did you see that I guess the Nets announced that Kyrie has until next week to fulfill all of those 6 demands? Did you see that?
Yeah, he ain't gonna do it.
I hope not. I hope
Yeah,
he stands on.
they did, that trend they have called quiet quitting and quiet firing.
Yeah,
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 they're quietly firing him. They're like, we don't even like
yeah,
this guy anyway. We've been mad at him since the pandemic. This is
yeah.
our chance to push him out.
And oh, that's the other thing too, because right before, because I went back through his Twitter feed, like before he posted the Hebrews to Negroes link, he posted the New York Supreme Court's decision, as you know, about those forced mandates, and like literally all those employers that fire people have to go back and pay them. He's one of them. Remember that?
Ooh,
He's one of them.
yeah, I'm
They owe
excited.
him millions. So
Wow.
that is what this is really about. And I have not heard anybody else in the media that's talking about this Kyrie situation point that out, because it's posted on his page. And he actually commented and was like, see, when you stand for what you believe in and all that. So yeah, they're trying to neutralize him basically, because he's an impediment, clearly, because he has a huge following, and he was a man. He stood up and said, these are my reasons. And so did, of course, a lot of grassroots folks the same way stood up. And so, they probably feel like he contributed to the fact that there was a lot of people that stood up and said no. So
Well,
yeah, the Nets owe him millions, and he'll get it.
Well, God bless him. I mean, I think that Kyrie is, this is what's going to happen, and this is the thing. I don't want people to spend too much time being offended, because most people are going to react negatively if you undermine their economic interests, or you undermine their power. Those are two things that matter: money and power.
That's
Even
right.
that song, remember that song, "Money, Power, Respect" is the key to life, right? So if you undermine people's money, power, and respect, they're gonna fight you for that, right? So
That's a
to
fact.
me, the cue for these guys to pick up is that it's time for you to have your own sports league anyway.
Yep.
You are literally the number one most dominant contributors to basketball and football in this country. In the
That's
NBA,
right.
NFL, none of that stuff. NCAA.
We got to figure out how Black Americans got like just completely washed out of baseball. That's the highest paid sport in terms of
Yeah.
contact.
Yeah, all of that, and the thing
You
is that
know?
we have we have the ability to build off of that, because we got the talent, we have the raw product, we got the young people that have all the skill in the world.
Right.
And the question is, can you manufacture your own product? Can you
Right.
take a little black boy who's going to be the next LeBron James, bring him up through
Right.
a system that's owned and controlled by you, prepare
That's
him to be
right.
part of a sports league that's owned by you, where
Yep.
an economy is built around his talent, as opposed to
Yep.
simply shipping him away to the suburbs or to the other side of town when it's time for him to play in the elite basketball tournaments and all that. Because it all starts in high school. They start grabbing the Kyrie
Right.
Irvings or whatever, when they're in the 9th grade for these
Mhm.
McDonald's All-American camps and AAU and Nike
Yep.
camps and all that. And then next
Yep.
thing you know, that kid has no connection to the community anymore. So
Right.
ultimately, I think that we need the entertainers and the wealthy Negroes to get together with the smart Black folks who know how to build something. You got intelligent Black people that are building amazing institutions and amazing businesses on a shoestring budget, operating with
Yep.
a damn budget of $50,000 a year, and your
Yep.
dumb ass is blowing $50,000 a night at the nightclub. We need to stop all of that. We need to call that out. Like chill
Yep.
out, man. Like take some of that bread. Like be a fool with your money if you want to, but take about 20% of that and say, I want to put that into Black people that are building institutions I can respect. I'm going to find that Black school like King Randall School down in Georgia, where they're educating Black boys to
Please support that brother school. Yes.
right, to have real skill and all that. Let's write him a check. Okay, you spent $10 million this year. I will say this. Kanye and I talked about that. He brought up King Randall School, and I said, yeah, I wrote a check to that school. Now I need you to write a check too, because you can write bigger checks.
Yeah, I did too. I hope he does write a check to him.
Yeah. I'm like, wait a minute. If you're talking about, if you look at some of the wealthiest rappers and athletes and the way they will spend $100,000, $1 million on just something stupid, like $2 million on their daughter's birthday party or something. And I'm like, why can't you write a $2 million check to an all-Black school that's being run by some dedicated people who care?
Institutions. We need our own institutions. Black people need our own schools. We need our own healthcare institutions, hospitals. Like we can do this, but we have to change this. Like we have to change the way we think, change our appetite for certain things. We absolutely have to regain control of our image and likeness and our talents.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have to. And I
Right
think
on.
that there that's not going to happen until there's literally a revolution of the mind,
Mm.
in terms of how we view ourselves. Because if you think about it, there's some internal issues that we have as a community with the fact that we have access to this money for folks who are working and have access to middle class and upper incomes. Like, where is the will, right, to collaborate? That's why I
Mm.
love Dr. Mayat's idea in terms of even the black media space with the new black media. Like, we need our own think tanks. Like, where is a sort of conglomerate where you can just go and find all of us,
Mm.
right? Like,
Well,
that's what we should be creating for ourselves. Seriously.
I feel like the All Black National Convention was kind of like that. We had
Of
a lot of
course.
PhDs and lawyers and MDs and real
Absolutely. I
estate
did an
moguls.
entire video encouraging people to come next year because, I'm getting a chance to share this with you, personally for the first time, but that was one of the most authentically black, conventions that I literally have ever been to, and I've been to a lot of conferences, conventions and everything. But this was very unapologetically black. I love the fact that the spectrum of the ideologies. You had a sister up there who was an expert in body. I'm gonna tell you, my husband loved her, by the way, loved that one. The body language expert who has a contract with the FBI, all the way
Oh,
to
Linda Clemens.
yeah, all the way to the brothers from the NOI, which was amazing. So, like, what you've been able to do with this All Black National Convention is something really to be applauded. And I do think that it could clearly eventually become our hub as Black people, and could evolve into a think tank of sorts. I love that. Yes.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And if we were trying to decide if we really wanted it to just grow or if we wanted to keep the size the same, I like the size that it is. That's why we limited participation to 500 seats, and we'll probably sell them all 6 months before the convention happens. And I'm okay
Right.
with that because I really want to maintain. I'm not trying to be mainstream and fit in with everybody. I want to
Sure.
maintain the quality of the interactions. I like the fact that it
Right.
feels like a family reunion.
Right.
Even when I'm taking pictures and signing books, the line's already got 150 people in it. I don't know if I could deal with 3, 4, 500 people.
Right.
It's tiring. It's really exhausting and everything. And I kind of feel like I like that the size that it is, and I
Yeah.
agree with you. I think that think tanks can come out of that. Um,
Yes.
so anybody who wants to take a look and just see what it's all about, feel free to go to the website right there below, allblacknationalconvention.com. And we will be in Atlanta next year, around October. So that's what it is. And so what I want to do is I want to say thank you so much to my special guest. I hope you'll give a digital round of applause to Zakia Sankara Jabbar, who is the host of Real Talk with ZSJ. Everybody, make sure you follow her channel. Give me a yes in the chat if you plan to follow Zakia at Real Talk with ZSJ.
Yeah. Make sure y'all subscribe.
Yes, make sure you subscribe. We got to support the new black media and everything else. And also, just a reminder, Zakia talked about changing mindset. And one of the mindsets that I believe in is it comes from this book called Powernomics.
Yes.
And we're going to read other books. We're going to read The Blueprint for Black Power by Amos Wilson and stuff like that.
Ooh.
Yes. Right now.
Man, that's it right there.
Yeah. And right now we're working through Powernomics. And
Yes.
the training on Powernomics is free to the community. So if you'd like to join us Wednesday nights, I am reading this book word for word. We've been going through these books for 2 years now. Every single Wednesday, you can go to blackkeystogreatness.com and you can join us. And that is something we offer in the Black Business School that is free to the whole Black community. Bring your mama, bring your cousin, bring your baby daddy, bring everybody. The URL is right there on the screen, blackkeystogreatness.com. So feel free to join us. So thank you very much, Zakia. It was great to see you.
Oh man, it's always good to partner with you, good brother. Much love to you and your queen. Oh, and I had a chance to actually give her a hug when I saw her in person. I was like, I'm a part of the group chat on Facebook. I said, I just wanted to introduce myself to you, and my husband was with me. So it was really good. You have a beautiful, beautiful family.
Thank you,
Dr. Boyce. And, my husband and I are very much supportive of you all, and, want to continue to find ways that we can work together and continue to move our people forward. So I guess I will see you in Atlanta.
Yes, ma'am. I cannot wait. Yes, and I enjoyed that too. It's kind of funny when you meet people from online and you see people, and it's like, oh, you're a
real person, right?
All right, everybody. Well, have a good night.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Way out. God bless you. We'll see you soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, 10, 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.